Hey, friends. Welcome back to Mixing Up Success, the podcast where we blend creativity, business, and a whole lot of heart. I'm Dani, baker, teacher, and believer that you can build a thriving business that actually supports the life you love. Some people say balance doesn't exist. I disagree, but I'll be the first to admit it's hard to find and even harder to hold on to, especially when you love your work as much as I do. Today's episode is a bit of a heart check. It's about what happens when you love your work so much that turning it off feels almost impossible. I've always been a doer. I love to build, create, plan, and bring ideas to life. It's one of my favorite parts of being an entrepreneur. But it also means I can get caught in a constant cycle of doing where it feels like if I stop, everything might fall apart. My husband has lovingly called me out on this more than once. And while it's hard to hear, I know it comes from love, from wanting me to show up fully for the people and life we've built together. Because at the end of the day, I value my relationships more than anything. And balance, even if it's messy or imperfect, is something I have to keep working at. I think when you genuinely love what you do, it can blur the line between passion and overworking. It doesn't always feel like work. So you keep saying yes. You keep creating, you keep building. But here's what I've learned. It's in the moments when I actually slow down and reflect that I feel the most empowered. Because showing up consistently, week after week, year after year, adds up to some pretty incredible things. When I stop long enough to really look at what I've built, it hits me. Nearly 150,000 cookies decorated and sold, over 1,000 people through my teaching kitchen in just 3 years, 2 self-published recipe collections, a book written with my father-in-law. These milestones are the results of countless small, consistent steps. But if I never pause, I miss the chance to actually celebrate them. So I've made it a habit to pause weekly, to look at my numbers and remember that every order, every class, every cookie tells a story of consistency. The numbers don't just show growth. They show proof that the work matters. Another way I reflect is by scrolling through my photos at the end of each month. It might sound simple, but it's become one of my favorite rituals. I'll notice pictures of the kids jumping in leaves, flowers from my garden, or a quiet moment in the orchard. Those little snapshots remind me of why I built this business: to have flexibility, to be present, to create a life that feels full and meaningful. A few years ago, I told myself to stop feeling guilty for pulling out my phone to capture those moments. Because when I look back, those pictures show me the life we're building, the joy in the small things, the beauty in our everyday. And it's in that reflection that I also see where I might need to shift, where I might be spending too much time on the business and not enough on the people I built it for. I built this business for flexibility, to be the kind of mom who can drop everything when the school calls, to show up when my family needs me. And part of that balance has been remembering to make time for things outside of business too. In the last few years, I've planted nearly 300 dahlia tubers each spring just to nurture them, watch them grow, and enjoy their blooms. It's not about productivity. It's about beauty, patience, and joy. I've carved out time to reconnect with friends and even set a goal for myself, at least one intentional connection a week that's not work related. I've gotten back into reading, not for strategy or business growth, but just to get lost in a good story again. These are things I lost touch with for a while. And it feels so good to have found my way back because the process has to be enjoyable. If I'm always racing to the next goal, I'll miss the beauty that's right in front of me. The truth is, in business, the target is always moving. The economy changes, trends shift, something unexpected happens. There's always another challenge or opportunity that pushes you to go bigger. So, if you don't learn to enjoy the process, you'll spend your whole journey chasing something that keeps changing shape. And while I'm far from perfect at balancing it all, those reminders, the flowers, the friendships, the books, the quiet moments, they keep me grounded because it's easy to get caught up in building something great. But it's even more important to remember to live the life it's meant to support. One of the biggest lessons I've learned from both the orchard and the kitchen is that everything has seasons. The orchard isn't always in full bloom. There's planting, pruning, harvest, and rest. And when I look at my business, I can see those same rhythms so clearly. For me, the natural harvest seasons are October through December and graduation season. Those are my busiest times, filled with custom orders, pop ups, and classes. The energy is high and it's exciting, but it's also intense. Over time, I started to really pay attention to those busy stretches and realized that those were my peak cookie seasons. Instead of fighting them, I leaned in. I began planning my production, launches, and marketing around those seasons. I found ways to make the absolute most out of them, to maximize efficiency, keep systems running smoothly, and make sure my team and I were ready for the rush. The best part is that they fall about 6 months apart, which gives me natural space to regroup in between. After the holiday season, I slow down in January. After graduation season, I pause in July. Following each of those seasons, I intentionally shift into recovery mode. I rest, reset the kitchen, and give myself permission to breathe. Now, do I have the luxury of stepping completely away from work for a whole month? Not yet. That's one of my long-term goals, to build my business to the point where I can take a full month off between those busy stretches. But the reality right now is that cash flow doesn't always allow for that, and that's okay. That's the truth of running a small business. We don't always get the perfect scenario. What I can do is build small breaks into the system. A week off here, a slow stretch there, and make the most of those moments. Even though I've built a business that keeps cookie demand steady year round, which is something I'm really proud of, I've realized that those peak months require recovery. It's not just physical exhaustion, it's creative fatigue too. There was a time when I would plow right through, going from holiday chaos straight into the next set of classes and new launches. But over the years, I've learned that if I don't schedule the rest, it doesn't happen. So now I intentionally build what I call recovery seasons. After the holidays and after graduation, I block time to reset, to clean, reorganize, and breathe. Sometimes that means closing orders for a bit or lightening the class schedule. It's not about losing momentum. It's about protecting sustainability, because constant output without recovery leads straight to burnout. And here's the thing, every time I honor that downtime, I come back more creative, more focused, and more inspired. The orchard taught me that even the best producing trees need rest to bear fruit again. And I've learned, so do I. My family is the reason I do all of this, but I've had to learn that building a business for them doesn't mean building a business around the clock. My kids do go to work with me a lot. I believe deeply in teaching them the value of hard work, but I also try to be incredibly intentional about making sure they're not just sitting around waiting for me to finish something. When they're at the kitchen, I engage them. My oldest helps with stickers, cleaning, and little odd jobs. They both helped me create my first recipe collection. We tested a new recipe every week all summer long. And yes, I still carry guilt for working so much. But honestly, I think I've had that guilt since the moment I became a mom. The truth is, I've always had to work to contribute to our family's livelihood. But I made a decision early on that if I had to work, I was going to do it my way. That's meant building a business that includes my family rather than separates me from them. I believe that spending time with me at the kitchen, seeing what I'm building, being a part of it, is far less of a sacrifice than not being with me at all. I try to bake with my kids as much as I can. This past summer, we even ran a lemonade stand together, side by side. While I worked to sell more cookies during the slower months. Okay, I want to redo that. Sure, we've had to make sacrifices. There have been times we've cut back on spending or said no to certain things so that I could keep growing this dream. But I truly believe that spending time with me at the kitchen and seeing what I'm building and being a part of it is far less of a sacrifice than spending less time with me. I try to bake with my kids as much as I can. This past summer, we even ran a lemonade stand together, side by side, while I worked to sell more cookies during the slower months to help with cash flow. They helped me plant flowers, water and weed, and we pick fruit together in the orchard all summer and fall. We visit my mom's farm often, lending a hand where we can, gathering eggs, feeding cows, and really understanding where our food comes from. My husband is a farmer, and when it's go season, it's go season. We both understand that rhythm now. When the work needs to get done, it gets done. But my work now allows me to fully support him during the growing season. And in turn, he supports me during the busiest months of cookie season. It's a partnership, one that takes teamwork, understanding, and a lot of grace. And while our days are full, they're full of purpose because my kids aren't watching me build a business. They're learning what it looks like to work hard, dream big, and stay rooted in what matters most. I used to think balance meant everything running smoothly, equal parts of work and home, business and rest. But I've realized it's not 50-50 every day. Balance for me isn't about equal parts. It's about being where I'm needed most in that moment. It's about paying attention to the seasons, both in business and in life, and giving myself permission to lean into whichever one needs me more. Right now, I'm in a phase of life with young kids, and that means there are days when growth looks a little different on the business side. There are seasons where I can push harder in my business and others where I need to slow down because someone at home needs me more. It's knowing that playing trucks on the living room floor might actually be the most important thing I do that day, and that the blog posts can probably wait until tomorrow. It's understanding that some seasons are for building and others are for being present, and that's okay. When I stop fighting the natural rhythm and start flowing with it, everything feels lighter. That's why I've built systems into my business that help protect that space. My quarterly planning, my weekly kitchen schedule, the way I plan launches, and recovery periods. Those systems aren't just about efficiency. They're about freedom. They allow me to shift my attention when I need to without feeling like I'm dropping the ball. Balance isn't about doing it all. It's about knowing what needs your attention right now and giving yourself permission to focus there fully. If you're listening and feeling stretched then, maybe it's time to look at your own seasons. Ask yourself, what season are you in right now? Growth, harvest, or rest? Where can you make space for recovery before burnout forces you to? What do you want to protect more fiercely? Your time, your health, your joy? Because the truth is, your business can't thrive if you're depleted. Flower, family, and focus. It's all connected. The secret isn't balance you can measure, it's alignment you can feel. Building a business is beautiful, but it's not meant to take the place of your life. It's meant to support it. And when you start honoring your own seasons, just like the orchard, that's when everything begins to grow in the right direction. Thanks so much for tuning in to Mixing Up Success. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who might need this reminder too. And don't forget to follow along on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep creating, keep growing, and remember, your business should fill your life, not consume it.